ladies and gentlemen, is this. We got to, you know, like I said, we got to stop fighting ourselves. We got to stop killing each other. You know, these black males that's doing that. Okay. You know, we have to admit, and see, nobody wants to admit this. And then let me put this out here. Well, let me tell a story, and then I'm gonna illustrate a point. So if I went into business with another, say one of you guys, I went into business with you, and we started some sort of like a hamburger restaurant. So we was in business for a few years, but we didn't see eye to eye. So you left the business, right? And you left the business. I didn't know where you was at, didn't see you, didn't hear from you no more. So you left the business in my hands. So I kept running the business, but with time, the business started going down. You know, customers are complaining. The restaurant used to be packed, but now the restaurant barely having people. It's slow all the time. Now I got to lay people off because we're not making the money. And, you know, it gets to a point now I've got to go file bankruptcy for this and close the shop or whatever. So then people come back that knew we had the hamburger place together, and they're like, Phil, what happened to the business? What happened to, like, man, y'all doing so good, and I know, you know, the other person left, but what happened, man? It's like you kind of ran into the ground. What happened? And then instead of me saying really what happened, I say you were the one that left, and it's your fault. Now think about that for a minute. You weren't around. You didn't know what I was doing, but I say it was you. I didn't take responsibility on how I ran the business. I didn't say how I done anything. I just shifted blame off myself and said it was you because you left. A logical person would say, okay, they left. Okay, but you were running it. So, like, what did you do? No. It's because you who's watching, you left. They left. I mean, so it's their fault. It ain't my fault. And that's how we sound in the black community when we're not willing to admit our parenting and how a lot of these boys that's been raised, we have certain parents that's not willing to admit it. And that's a big problem for me because we don't want to talk, you know, we want to talk about responsibility, personal responsibility. If a man, you had a child with a man, the man dead, the man could be in jail, whatever the case may be. You raising a child. If that child come out hell raising, it goes back to your parenting. It goes back to that. You can't say, well, it's him because he could be dead. He could be in jail. He could be a sorry, no good piece of crap and never was around. But you can't say it was him because he wasn't around. No, it was because of you, because you raised that child. And as long as certain individuals in our community refuse to take responsibility on their parenting, responsibility that you raised that kid and he or she is hell raising. Until you take responsibility on that, nothing in this community is going to change. We have to have certain individuals say, yes, I did not raise that boy right. I didn't raise that girl right. I didn't show the right example in front of my son. I didn't show the right example in front of my daughter. If we're never going to do that, we will never find healing. We will never solve our problems because we refuse to accept there is a problem. All these little sorry guys is out here shooting up the block. They were raised by somebody or not raised by somebody. Raising yourself is not being raised. That's abusive. I'm not all into making excuses and telling people, you know, because sometimes people, you know, some guys will tell, you know, certain women, well, you should have picked better. I ain't for all that conversation because I know women and men who's been single, that raised their kids to be great kids, honor roll students, go to college, get jobs, love their community, and just do the great things. You can't tell me just because you're a single mother, a single father, you can't raise a child to be a good person. You can't tell me that. Some things maybe you couldn't teach him or her, but being a good person and doing the right thing, that's something we all can teach. So there's no excuse there. But I'm not for the excuse of you raising a kid and then you could shift blame to the parent that wasn't even there. I'm like, okay, now you don't even want to accept what you did. And when a person don't even want to accept what they have done, then nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. And this is what the people will do. Oh, well, you hate me because you're saying this. That is you trying to deflect. That is you trying to shift blame away from yourself and accepting what you have done that has hurt our community. Because if you didn't raise your kid right, your kid is out here shooting up and killing Zach TV1 out here or whoever else, or your kids out here shooting up and killing an innocent little girl playing in a playground, or innocent brother or sister that's coming home from work because that kid's shooting up the block. Too many of our people have died at the hands of poor parenting. But we don't want to accept responsibility on poor parenting. Well, you could say, well, Phil, they grew up in a situation where they didn't have the right example, so they just kind of followed the example that they had. That, for me, could be true, but that's still no excuse for poor parenting. When I see that video I saw earlier of that black male slapping that black girl in her face, on the side of her face, when her back was turned to that coward, wait till her back was turned to hit her in the face with these tight clothes and these sagging pants. And a lot of times their parents allow them to sag the pants. Their parents allow them to walk around their house like that and think that's okay. Their parent buy them these clothes if they're not out there drug dealing. If you want to talk about fixing the black community, talking about pro-black, whatever you want to call, the biggest way to fix our community and being pro-black is fixing the family, raising our children right. I'm not even looking at the comment section. I already kind of feeling where it's going. That is how we fix the black community. White supremacy, that's a beast in itself. It's a devil in itself. We got to fix our issue. If we're raising, you talking about where's why the men don't stand up? Men aren't being raised to be men. Men aren't being raised to be warriors. And it's not that a woman, a black woman can't raise a man to be a warrior. Please. Black women are the strongest fighting force in women in the world. When I saw Black Panther and I saw Okoye and all those women fighting like that, that's sisters right there. I don't expect sisters. I don't want sisters to turn into no white women. I mean, white women are extreme. Look, they're not black women. I'm not, because I know if I say something, it's going to hurt feelings. They're not them. Okay. Sisters are strong. Sisters are courageous. They're warriors. They're warriors. They can fight. Okay. You could raise your son to be a warrior too. It's not that you can't raise him to be one. Shoot, Tupac, look at him. He had a fight in him. He didn't have his dad around. Afeni raised him for the most part. I know she had some drug problems, but she still came in and taught him the knowledge of the Panthers and some of the knowledge that he had. Okay. People make mistakes. People get on drugs. It happens. Okay. But his mom still had a role in his life. So Tupac wasn't weak. Tupac wasn't no punk. We all know that. He didn't have his father around. So don't say a woman can't teach a young man to become a revolutionary. They can do that. It is a sorry excuse to accept that, oh, well, women can't raise. Listen, I'm not saying a woman could tell a young man about his first little wet dream. I'm not saying that she could talk about that. She a woman. She don't know, but she can give him the knowledge. She can do that. She can say, you know what, son, you're 13. I may can't teach you a lot, but let me, I need you to read this book, Message to the Black Man. I can't teach you, but this is a good book to start with. Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Read this book, son. And cause that book gonna tell you a lot about who you are as a man, who you're supposed to be for your community. Give your son that book to read at 13, Message to the Black Man. I'm not telling them to take in everything that Elijah Muhammad is saying about Islam, but I'm talking about there's a lot of things in there that he needs to read to teach him how to be a man, especially if his father is not around, for whatever the case may be. You can't be bitter that that man gone, because he gone. You can't force people to be with you. But what you can do to prevent that is to say, let me raise him to be a good man. I'm not saying raise him to be the man that you wanted. No, but raise him to be a good man. That way you want to teach him, look, son, you get you one woman. Don't be out here hot dicking all over the place. Okay. I need you, I want you to get, have some children. Be there for your children, son. Love your wife. Be there for your children. I don't want you to grow up like you grew up. Instill that in him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he'll become a good man and fight for his community and have a wife and have children and install family around them. You know what I'm saying? So women could do that. So to me, it's no excuse that a single mom can't raise a good kid. There's no excuse. See, I have a problem with that comment, what you just said, because that's so dumb and ignorant. Stop promoting single mother. We have single mothers in our community, silly. I prefer 2-parent households. I don't know how many times I said that. So what you going to do? You got a single mom, which you're not supposed to raise a kid, right? Then that same kid come rob you of your stuff. That's another thing too. We got a group of black men. I'm getting on you now.